understanding hand in the world calls me great. You protected my heart right from the start. 685 so strong and true, the very best I've always shared with you. And if I should fall, or if I'm standing tall, I can see you standing there, always willing to share each and every part of me. And you see things I never see. And you're the best thing yet to ever come into my life. And you're the best thing yet to ever come into my life. Deep down in my mind, I wonder at the blessing that I could find someone as loving as you, that bring into my life this feeling so right and so true, like the flowing waters of a silver stream, and like the misty vision in a midnight dream. Such a wonder life to me. So rare.
Today's 20th, isn't it? Payday. I love 20th. Okay, good evening, everybody. 6 o'clock, we're going to start on time. Ready? Where's my meditation music? All right, here we go. Boom. Close your eyes. Here we go. Try to settle into this chair in this moment. Let's welcome our live streamers. We're glad you're joining us tonight. So let's take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, this is what I know. There is only love. There is only love. There's only one power, one divine intelligence. It expresses and experiences by you and by me. And so we join together in this opportunity to become open and receptive to a new idea of communicating with that divine presence within. Opening up all sorts of avenues that will allow us to experience more joy and more health, more abundance, deep, loving relationships, satisfying careers, and financial security and freedom. I know that each and every one of you tonight were divinely guided to be here. That something within you decided that it needed to change and learn something and expand and become something different. And so I know for you, and I know for myself, that there's an openness and a receptivity to learning this process, and it comes to you easily now and naturally, just allowing these words to be taken as your own, to embody them and to embrace them and to let them join together in your consciousness and create that wonderful experience called life. For this great gift of this day, for this great gift of this opportunity to be together tonight to learn how to pray, we just say thank you, beloved presence. This perfect class is unfolding as it should. And I've released my word, we let it be so, and together we say, and so it is. Amen. So good evening, everybody. Did everybody rush to get here? Yes, 2 wheels. Yeah, usually there's usually skid marks in the people coming in on 2 wheels going, I made it. All right, so learning to pray. How many people have had this workshop before? Several. So several of you, this is the first time. So I have practitioner students here, practitioners. I've got ministerial students here. So it's going to be an interesting experience. So here we go. Learning how to pray. Launching into it. When do you pray? Last. Most people pray when they've exhausted all possibilities of resolving an issue. That's when most people turn to prayer. They go, I can't figure this out to save my life. I think I'll pray. Now, some people pray consistently. Some people have good spiritual practices. But a lot of times when people are addressing an issue in their life, they wait until they've exhausted all their mental resources before they engage in and start the process of prayer. So, tonight I want us to redefine prayer, which means this. For those of you who are brought up to pray, I need you just to shelf that, just take it literally out of your mind. You say, okay, I learned how to pray when I was a kid, and I've been doing it this way for how many years, but tonight I'm going to put that underneath the seat in front of you, just like an airline seat, and you can pick it up on your way out if it still works. But for tonight, I need you to have an open mind about how to learn how to pray, so we want to redefine it. We want to redefine the process of prayer for you, all right? But you have to put all your preconceived ideas away in order for you to be open and receptive to hearing the whole thing, all right? Prayer is establishing, and by the way, all these are in your PowerPoint, establishing a new relationship with prayer using new eyes and new methods. In other words, I need a new you to show up tonight. You could be anywhere you want to be tonight, right? There were 1,000 things you could do tonight, but you chose to be here because something within you called you to be here. I don't see anybody on an ankle bracelet, so I don't think anybody was forced. I haven't signed any papers that you were told to be here tonight. So my guess is you're doing this voluntarily. So there's something within you that's calling you to actually go a little bit deeper into the prayer process, maybe learning how to teach it when you're an instructor sometime. So next thing, any expression directed toward or received by God is considered a prayer, which means in Paul we read, we're praying without ceasing. What does that mean? When you pray without ceasing, it means that all your thoughts right now are considered a prayer, all right? You are the sum total of all those thoughts, good and bad, happening in your world. Does this make sense? Now, there's something that's brand new for some people. You have to take the idea that if everything is expressed as prayer, then God's not an observer. God is energy in motion. There isn't some God up. We need to redefine God. There isn't some God up on a chair somewhere. You know, did anybody have that upbringing where there's a man with a beard, and then they had like weapons to one side and a clipboard in the other hand, right? Well, I guess it wasn't a clipboard. I guess it was a scroll at the time, but it felt like a clipboard in today's version, right? Had a clipboard and your name was on it, and if you did good things, you got a plus mark, you know. And if you did bad things, the plus marks were erased. And then if you kept doing bad, you would get negative marks on one side. And the day you died, they looked at your name and they saw more negative marks than plus marks. Guess where you went? Yeah, well, guess what? We're not buying that one, all right? So you're living the sum total of your prayers right now in your thoughts. Now, for some people, they may argue going, no, that's not what I've been thinking about. Well, sometimes when we pray, we may pray one way, but in the back of our minds, if we think a certain thing about a certain thing, think a certain way, in other words, gosh, I hope that prayer worked, or maybe it's not God's will that I do something. If you start to think that way, then you're probably demonstrating to that level of belief that you're not worthy of that. You're not eligible to get all of that, all right? So, affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. We need to take these words. These are all of these slides are coming from when I read a book called the 5 Steps to Freedom by Dr. John Waterhouse. He wrote this book. It's a great book. I think Elizabeth has it out in the foyer. So all of this is covered in the book in much more depth. But we need to talk about the word spiritual mind treatment versus the words affirmative prayer. Many, many years ago, good evening. Many years ago, I guess it was probably about 10 years ago, when I was a minister, it's been 13 years, so it's been 11 years ago, I was very frustrated that I spent more time explaining to people what we were not versus what we are. When we were called Religious Science Church of the Desert, I spent more time telling people we weren't Scientology or Christian Science. So when that was going on, I had in my own mind, before the international organization even took this on, that I needed to find a way to rebrand what we're doing. In other words, bring in words that people are relating to, right? I mean, spiritual mind treatment is nothing more than a prayer. So why don't we use the word prayer? Why do we freak people out by putting new words in things? Let's just use the word prayer, and let's see what happens if we become, not more mainstream, but become more mainstream with what people think, the way people think. So we started changing words around a lot. I did, especially. And then when we went through a whole process at the International, we realized that was separating us from people joining into our centers. What we were called and how we were teaching it, we were our own worst enemy. And so it's like, you know what? As soon as we started to change that, as soon as we started changing our vernacular, as soon as we changed the Centers for Spiritual Living, people felt more comfortable to walk in. And then they felt more comfortable when you didn't use foreign words to describe prayer, right? So in the book, though, and tonight you'll hear the words like treatment, prayer treatment. If you're those of you who are in the Science of Successful Living or the Power of Decision, that's what you read in the book. You're used to reading that, all right? So, but affirmative prayer is this: becoming intimately involved in the creation and outpicturing of our lives. It's creating a life by design, not default. In other words, you're becoming intimately involved in what is going to unfold in your life. It's not just you're going to stumble through life. You're not just walking down a pathway and, wishing or hoping something's going to happen. You're actually constructively making it happen. Prayer is actually, what we call affirmative prayer, is actually the art and science of moving thought for a specific purpose. The art and science of moving thought for a specific purpose. And I say art because it is creative, and I say science because you're working with a spiritual law. It's talk about a creative law to move thought for a specific purpose, and it's intentional. It's not something you're just stumbling into. You're creating it. That's what I call power praying. If you're praying without ceasing, those are, casual pattern thoughts. What's really important is that you learn how to power pray, because that just takes precedent over all that stuff. When you do that and then you start changing the pattern of your thoughts after the prayer, your life will begin to change. So affirmative prayer is power praying. But first, we have to do this. It requires us to reframe our concept of God. We have to get away from that God is the big observer, all right, to God is for us. So we call it the 3 O's. I call it the 3 O's. Omnipresent is the first one. What omnipresent means this: it's always present. It's changing from an idea that God is watching us to God is there for us. So in order to go into this power of prayer, in order to use prayer effectively, you have to reframe that there is a God that is for us, not monitoring our behavior, not punishing us, but it's for us. There's a power for good in the universe, and you are using it, and you've been using it. Now, whether you've been using it for good, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. All right? But there's a power for good, and you're using it. Omnipresent means that nothing in physical form or otherwise exists outside of the presence of spirit. There's nothing can be outside because there's no outside. Everything is in this spiritual realm. There is this intelligence that, excuse me, as much as we want to push people outside of the circle, you can't. Everything exists, meaning all good things and all things that are not good all exist in the spiritual realm, okay? Omniscient. It's all-knowing. It's not the scorekeeper. God is not a scorekeeper. That would require intervention on our behalf to get into some place called heaven later on. Because I don't know anybody that would, I'm not sure how scrolls would work, but mine would probably not look too good, right? I'm willing to admit that. So I would have to go, I would probably be questioned at the gate, right? So we don't have to, I know, I get carted at the gate going, really, Joe? Seriously? Why are you here? You got to know that that's not going to happen. Okay, so omniscient, just meaning it's all-knowing. This too, we believe that it means everything demonstrates intelligence, thought, dreams, ideas, emotion, vision, all natural and spiritual law. Every expression of consciousness that ever existed, it comes from this all-knowing presence. So now we have the all-powerful, the all-knowing, and here, actually, omnipotent. This is where it's all-powerful. Spirit is all-powerful, not to direct or manipulate. Spirit does not manipulate or intercede on your behalf. If that was true, if that were true, that Spirit would intercede on your behalf, nothing would have ever gone wrong in your life. You would have never made a bad decision in your entire life. Has anyone here made a bad decision? At some point in your life, has anyone made a bad decision? Okay, there's only 4 of you that made bad decisions. Okay, I think everybody in this room has made a bad decision. If there was some great intercepting God, don't you think that would have been intercepted? So there isn't this intercepting God. There isn't this idea that there's this God that's going to manipulate or direct it or intercede on our behalf, because we have free will. The greatest expression that was ever realized is that we could think. The second one is that we were given free will to think. That's the biggest challenge, because we live by the universe of cause and effect. The universe wants what we want. God's will for you is whatever it is that you want. And you say you want it. And sometimes we say and do things that are contrary to our greater good. Anybody? Okay, yeah, you married him. Okay, so Spirit is all-powerful. It doesn't intercede. To do so would eventually require that we embrace the idea of a punishing God. We don't have a punishing God. If you're looking for a punishing God, you're in the wrong church, wrong center. Yeah, there's a couple ones up the street, all right? You can check those out. But we don't believe in that, all right? We don't believe in a punishing God. If anything punishes us, it's our own actions, cause, effects that punish us. It's not that God sets us up to go, oh, you know what? Joe's number's up. He's going down today. Not a universal presence that goes, you know what? I've had enough of that Joe Hooper. He's going down, right? It doesn't work that way. Anytime that I've ever gone down, it's because I have set myself up to do that. I've made the decisions, all right? It's not a challenge or a limitation. Rather, it's a unifying principle that demonstrates the magnificence of life. That's what the all-powerful is, all right? It's also the cosmic glue that holds this whole thing together. I mean, how fast are we spinning? Thank you, William. How fast is the Earth spinning right now? 1,000 miles an hour. We're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Does it feel like it? Well, some of you may feel that way, but really, do you feel like you're spinning? Do you feel like you're on a roller coaster ride going 1,000 miles an hour? Do you think that's by design? Yes, it's by design. You know, when you cut yourself, and you cut yourself, what happens? You don't have to sit there and have a conversation with your blood to say, okay, white blood cells, rush to there and start clotting. You don't have to do that, do you? No, why? There's an intelligence that knows what to do. There's a cosmic intelligence that knows what to do. It does it on the micro level and the macro level. So there is this cosmic glue that holds everything together. So when reframing this idea of God, it has to encompass all of these things, all right? This is going to be important for the first step, because here we are. Aligning these concepts, we can begin to understand the limitlessness of Spirit in our lives and throughout creation. Keeping in mind there are not 2 powers. We don't have a power for good and a power for evil. There's only one power. However we decide to use it is up to us. Some people use a power that could be used for good for not good. Any of you in this room ever do that? Yes, we have. So we've made a choice to use the one power, but use it in a negative way. All right? Here's a big thing. Peace and harmony are natural states of being. Keep in mind, peace and harmony are natural states of being. And it goes on to say, anything unlike itself will eventually come to pass. What does that mean? Wars end. That doesn't mean there's not damage, but wars end. The storm passes, okay? We move through illnesses. We don't reside there. Eventually, things that are not peace and harmony, that is the natural state. And the natural state of the universe is to reestablish peace and harmony as quickly as possible. Sometimes our timeline is not met, but it's not our timeline that's driving this. Does that make sense? Okay? So, before you even begin the process of your prayer, you were given, when you came in, you checked in, and they gave you a sheet called affirmative prayer, right? Does everybody have that? Excuse me. Before you can begin the process of praying, you have to clearly define what is the purpose of your prayer. What is the purpose of your prayer? And so on the top line, it says, what is the purpose of your prayer? Now, warning. Here, I got one. I got an extra one. Here, take it. Yeah. I'm going to give you a warning here. I don't like pizza prayers. Prayers with everything on it. Pick one thing you want to change in your life. That's going to be the purpose of your prayer. Maybe your health, your financial situation, maybe a relationship, maybe your creativity, your self-expression. Whatever it is, I want you to pick that one thing and clearly list that one thing. Go ahead, do it right now. Take your pen. Right, what is that one thing you want to pray for? If you could pray for one thing, what would it be? The purpose of my prayer would be, make it very short and concise. Could be anything. Find a relationship, find a home, new job, improved health, financial security. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, this is going to be important as we go through the process. So the first thing you do is you establish that out of the gate. Before you go into prayer, you know what you're praying for. And don't put a bunch of things in the prayer. Let's do one thing for each prayer contains one thing right now. You guys are not professional practitioners. So what happens is when we pile a bunch of things into a prayer, you're too scattered. If you want to have clear and concise prayer, then you need to be clear and concise when you start defining these different steps. And it's going to be very evident to you why you only want to have one thing to pray for tonight and one thing you pray for yourself. And then you can always go back and do another prayer for another thing at another time, another prayer for another time. Doesn't say you can't do 25 prayers a day, but one thing at a time, all right? That's what we're going to teach you in the science, one thing at a time, all right? So the first step, actually, the steps are this. We teach this in the youth church or the junior church, and this is the easiest way to remember it. It's the bingo method. The 5 steps, right? Some centers teach 7, some teach 9, some teach 11. I'm a 5-stepper. My center teaches 5 steps. Bingo, B, begin with God. Your prayers are always going to begin with God, then I, include yourself, all right? And you're going to name your good, which is the step 3, purpose of your prayer. G is give thanks, and O is over and out. Okay? So when you're talking about the bingo method, that's the way we teach it. Now, I use that only because from the onset here, it's going to be really easy to identify as we go through the technical names for them, all right? I don't want to lose you. So B is begin with God. So here we go, recognition. Step 1 is recognition. You'll see on your sheet there, recognition. B, begin with God. What is God? Here we go. The 3 O's that I just covered, all right? What is God to you? So when you start out with this step, you have to be, what is my understanding of this thing called God? And you're going to have to capsulize it. You're going to have to minimize it and put it into some sort of sentence structure for yourself, all right? Goes on to say this, however you choose to start, make sure the words evoke within you a sense of certainty that what you say is very real for you. In other words, you have to have a connection to what you're saying. Don't say something because it sounds pretty and flowery, and you think that would go over well if someone heard it. No. It has to mean something to you, all right? I know is one of the most powerful ways to start out a prayer. You've heard me say that. You go, this is what I know. I know that God is boom, right? I know that God is boom, boom, boom. Does that make sense? I know that God is love, intelligence, divine source, unlimited resource, whatever you want to call it. So what would you say? What is God to you? Call it out. Divine energy, all powerful, all good. Sorry? Forgiving. All loving. Creation. Light, love, joy, peace, wisdom, power, balance, order. All things. All things and everything. All right? So, what we're going to do is, the stronger your statement of recognition, the more powerful your result will be. God is. So, step 1, what is God to you? Say it right there. Start out with God is. Or spirit, however you want to say it. So on your worksheet, you have your worksheet? Okay. On your worksheet, step 1, God is. Omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. Do you have your PowerPoints? You need the PowerPoint? Okay, good. All right. Just want to make sure. Yeah, that's good. We got it. As long as he has it. Just want to make sure everybody has it. Okay, so are you finished? Look up here. Physical expression of this, recognition. First step, God is. Raise your right hand. God is. All right, just bring it down. So whatever God is, I am, and that's going to be the second step. All right? So God is, it's just symbolic that we're up here. And God's everywhere. So we could go like this if we wanted to, but it's symbolic to this. All right? God is. Second step. So we have what God is. Second step is unification or include yourself. All right? So whatever God is, you are. Who are you? This question is the basis for the second step. God is and I am. So if God is these things, that's me. So I am an expression of God. I am love. I am light. I am wisdom. Whatever God is, I am. Okay? So in the second step, I want you to write down whatever you think God is. Now I want you to put, and I am an expression of God, the experience of God, the activity of God. I am the love of God. I am the light of God. I am the wisdom of God. I am the joy of God. Okay? Does that make sense? You're including yourself in that. So whatever God is, you are. So, in the second step, everything that Spirit does actualizes in only one of two ways. Spirit expresses and Spirit experiences, and that's it. And how does it do it? How does Spirit express and experience itself? By means of you and by means of me. By means of its creation. Does that make sense? So, in order to understand that, we have to see God in the tragedy and the triumphs. So what does that mean? Sometimes it's difficult to see God in situations like 9/11, right? Because we're angry, we don't understand, and it seems like it's contrary to what we believe in. And like, some sort of a mass shooting, something like that. But like everything that we teach, we have to see good that comes from everything. So if you see that when the cut happens, we don't tell it to begin to heal, it already knows how to do it. When something happens in the world, there is an immediate mental equivalent healing that begins to take place, and we see it in activity. In other words, buildings get hit on 9/11. What do we see? Rescue workers rushing to establish what? Balance and harmony and order. They can't change what happened, but they can try to establish balance, harmony, and order because that's the natural state. So when something happens, there is an automatic response to bring it to healing, balance, and order. Somewhere on the universal level, all right? Somewhere. So when things are happening, we have to see God in those situations rising to that occasion to remedy and bring about balance and order and harmony. Does that make sense? When you've had personal challenges yourself, when you're walking through them, many times you don't see the gift in them because you're in the middle of where you think a pony should be, all right? So when you finally figure out that, you know what, that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, but at the time I didn't realize it, you see it that way looking back at it. But you didn't see it when it was happening, but you can see where it did move you forward in some direction. All right? Are you guys getting it? Are we questioning, or what are we? Where are we? Are the looks? Hang on. Oh, that's always the good one. That's always stump the pastor. Here we go.
Well, I would question what What happens with the death of a baby?
You know what? And this is one of my very first memorials was for a 2-month-old. As a minister, I had a series. My first one was a 24-year-old that jumped off a building in Santa Monica, and then my second one was a 2-month-old. So I had baptism by fire in terms of dealing with death in families, grieving. In our culture, we have an agreement that longevity is key to life, right? And I'm not saying I'm challenged by this all the time. It is not explainable why people do what they do, why babies die. But I do know this, that the experience of that child and all the people around it, it was complete in and of itself from before its inception to its transition, no matter how much time it had here. We have created a culture that says this is good and this is bad. I remember when I was a kid, I used to think 40 was ancient. Do you remember that? Anybody? Until I turned 25, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, it's kind of around the corner, right? And then 50 was ancient. And 60 was ancient, right? I mean, if you lived to 40 when I was a kid, you were pretty old. So my target moved as my culture moved with it. Does that make sense? But from the perspective of the universe, as hard as it is to understand that, as painful as it is to understand that, we have to look at every life that comes into this experience is in its totality from prior to its inception to after its transition. Its idea in time here is meant to be what it is, and we can't understand it, and that's just our humanity that cannot grasp it. Does that make sense? I mean, it doesn't make sense. I've read thousands of death books. There is nothing that makes sense when it comes to that. There is no logical sense to it. But the explanation that I come the closest to understanding is the one that I just gave you. That, and suicides, things like that, you just can't explain them rationally, so you have to explain them in a spiritual level going, okay, the experience is what it is. And so I have to distance myself from the how and the what and look at it as this experience was its complete in its totality for myself and for everyone around that. I know, Barbara, that probably doesn't feel really good, but it helps. It has to help a little, hopefully, a little bit. Hang on. This is where the stump the pastor comes. Okay, go ahead.
So should you be able to look back on experiences and see the benefit that something or somebody has gained from that?
Well, you can, if you like looking back. If you like looking back, if that's meaningful for you, you can do that. Well, and sometimes it may still lack the clarity. You may still not have what it brought to you yet. It may not be evident yet. But in everything that happens, and this is the absolutist, in everything that happens, there is its reestablishment of balance, harmony, and order in the cosmos, right? And it is part of our divine plan to reestablish that. The logical and sequential order that it takes to get to that place, and then the time, whatever that takes to reflect on it and look back on it, that's going to be up to the individual, their consciousness, and their growth. But the reality is, wherever there is an imbalance, the universe already has its mental equivalent balanced, already worked out, waiting for us to show up and implement it. It doesn't just show up automatically. I mean, sometimes you have to, this shows up automatically. But in many cases, it takes prayer work, it takes mental work for you to acknowledge and go, okay, wait a minute, universe, I'm open for the clarity around this situation. Can you pass that to Linda for me? Does that answer your question, Rick?
Yes.
It's Rick, right? Rick. Yeah. Linda.
I'm curious. One of the honors I've had in my life was working with terminally ill children.
Yep.
With Make-A-Wish.
Yep.
It was one of the hardest things I did, but the biggest honor I could do in my life. and to bond with those children and, be there for the parents even a year after the child died.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to know, you as for all the years I've known you, what do you say to these parents? I mean, what can you say? You're trained. I
Look,
didn't know.
The only thing you can say to them is, I am so sorry you have to walk through this.
Yeah, that's what I
And
did.
you can't say it's going to get better and they're going to a better place, and that doesn't make
No.
any sense to the parent.
No.
So all you can do is say, I'm so sorry you're walking through this. How can I help you?
And that's what
And
I
you walk
did.
with-
It
you wa-
wasn't required,
No.
but I felt it so strong
Yeah.
that I had to keep in touch with them for about a year.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
to see how
and
they
I mean,
were
it's
doing.
a really, there is no set
You
thing that I normally say.
yeah.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Barbara. I'm sorry you have to walk through this. And how can I help you? What can I do to help you? I'm here for you. And that's all you can do is offer your heart and your help. And that's what people want to know. They want to, and you do. I'm so sorry you have to walk through this because it's heartbreaking. But, I love you, and what can I do to help you? That's all we can ever say. Yes, Barbara.
Oh, it makes me think, if it doesn't make sense and you have acceptance.
I'm sorry?
Not sense, if it's not making sense, but you have acceptance
Uh-huh.
of that moment. And when we say, and so it is, it just is.
It is.
But with acceptance comes the ability to walk
Release.
through it. Yeah.
With acceptance comes release. And with release comes an opening. Because whatever you release now has space for an opening to be filled again. So whenever you have that acceptance, you have that release, it creates space for the new opening. Does that make sense, Barbara?
Yeah.
Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay. Gary.
All right. Okay, hypothetical. This person here, he just robbed a 7-Eleven for $500. And he goes to bed that night feeling good that he's got $500, and he feels good because the corporation didn't need all that money anyway. Is there a greater truth than his belief?
A greater truth than his belief? Well, in our system of belief, we don't believe you ever get your good by taking it from someone. You don't rob anybody, you don't hurt anybody, and you don't take it over the back of somebody. All right? We don't have many rules in religious science.
So what about him? In other words,
He's going to work out his own law of cause and effect.
so therefore, law of cause and effect.
Wait.
The teachings tell us that you can override something by thinking it hard enough, and that becomes your new belief
Unless you're
system.
violating spiritual law, that violates, again,
Yeah.
you can create, we can call it good, but it created harm,
Yeah, right.
all right? So you could call it good, but the universe has a big balancing act. For every time, how do I phrase this? Well, I'll relate it to something that makes most people uncomfortable. I'm a tither, right? When I don't tithe my full 10%, for some reason I need a root canal that's going to cover the rest of what I would have spent on the tithe. Or a car repair, or a tire, or some stupid thing comes up, and I realize that I was not complying with the universe, and so the universe always gets its 10%. So when I'm not complying with universal law, it always complies with me. It doesn't matter. If I'm complying, it's going to make me comply. So I would bet you, just bet, no, I'm not saying hold me to it, but if you went through and if you're not tithing 10%, I bet you could look at your expenses and they're going to equal 10% on miscellaneous stuff that just popped up. A refrigerator repair, or a sprinkler, whatever it is. Things that constantly pop up. Now that's not to say things won't pop up, but watch how it works. Watch how it works. The universe always gets its 10%. Start keeping. Watch it. Log it. I guarantee you it's going to work. All right. Now I got to move off this one because I lingered here too long. All right. All right. So what brought you here today was spirit expressing and experiencing. Again, you could have been anywhere you wanted, but instead you decided to come here. Here you are. Because why? The universe wants to express and experience itself by means of you. And intuitively, you know that there's something you have to do to make it be better in your life. There's a thing in unity that we brought up to good, better, best. I'll never let it rest till my good is better and my better is best. So I was brought up singing that, right? And so your life may be good. but you may want it to be better. And that's okay. And you want your better to get even better. That's okay. There's nothing selfish with that. The universe has unlimited resources. Why would you think that you can only have half happiness? Half of something. Why not the whole of it? Why not the whole plus? Who's to say that you can't have whatever it is that you want? More loving relationships, greater health, greater financial security, greater expression in your creativity, greater relationships. Who's to say that you can't have those things? I'm usually the one that caps it. Not the universe. I'm the one who caps it. All right? So, step 3, the realization step. Realization, declaration, affirmation. Name your good. This is where the purpose of your prayer is paramount. Excuse me. This is where the purpose of your prayer is paramount. Whatever the purpose of your prayer is, these are the affirmations you're going to make in the 3rd step. These are the sentences, 6 to 8 sentences. You're going to shoot for 6 to 8 sentences tonight. These are 6 to 8 sentences that affirm what it is that you want. And now before you start writing them, I'm going to teach you how to craft them. Because again, this is an equation for success. This is an equation for demonstration. It's a science. This is the science part of the prayer, all right? Learn how to do the science. The law takes care of the rest, all right? So here we go. Name your good. It's predetermined. Why is it predetermined? Because it's on your paper at the top line. Now, if you're on the paper, it says health. Are you going to talk about your relationships in the 3rd step? Nope. Are you going to talk about money in the 3rd step? Nope. What's the only thing you're going to talk about in the 3rd step? Health. Whatever that is on the top line, that is what the only thing you're going to focus on. That's going to be important. Because this is where people start going off in different tangents. This is where the pizza comes in. They all throw the pizza right in here. This is where all the different ingredients start getting tossed onto the pizza. This is where your focus is essential. All right? What is the purpose of your prayer? We just talked about it. Not talking about the condition. God already knows how you got what you got. You don't need to tell God the story of what it is in your prayer. You don't need to even name it in your prayer. If energy goes where the thought flows, why would I even put the name of it in a prayer? Because I'm giving it energy. You don't ever pray anything out of your life. You only pray the right stuff in. When I pray the right stuff in, the effect is that the wrong stuff leaves. Because if I pray on the stuff that's negative, I'm putting energy into the negative instead of feeding in that what I want. That's what I want. Does that make sense? So, you never talk about the condition, only the healed state. All right? Yes, Cyril.
I have to tell you that I did that at about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 mornings ago. The toothache inside. All I did was think about the tooth on the right side, how well it was, how nice and calm it was.
Yeah.
I kept thinking that way of this tooth over here, the lower molar.
Yeah, you could do it. Look, I watch people make their transitions. The power of the mind is amazing. Amazing. They set themselves up. It's amazing. But okay. So, how many of you have heard the story of the spiritual pasta maker? Yeah, gonna get old. Here you go. Spiritual pasta maker. You've heard about the spiritual pasta maker, but for those, this is part of the class. You have to hear about the spiritual pasta maker. You're gonna hear some of the same old stories because you're in the same old class. All right. Spiritual pasta maker. The universe is like a spiritual pasta maker. Here you go. The thought becomes the thing. The seed becomes the plant. All right? Spirit, what we call soul, body. What is this thing in the middle? This is the law. It's the pasta maker. It only receives, it takes in everything I put into it. And it only can do one thing. Ying, 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 ying. Yes. That's the way the law works. It can't reject it. Remember I said there's no divine interception, right? There's no such thing as it doesn't say, no, don't put this in. Nope, it listens to everything. The universe has perfect hearing and perfect sight. It listens to everything, and it goes into the pasta maker. So I want you to envision, if you will, this big white dough over here. I'm going to be referencing the big white dough a lot over the next few minutes, all right? So if I'm talking about the condition, I'm taking this big white dough, which is going to be my demonstration in its fullness, right? The big white fullness of the demonstration. And what am I doing? I'm sprinkling a little black on top of it. Not a whole lot, but I'm sprinkling some of it. Because I'm thinking of the word, or I'm thinking of the condition. So when I put a little bit of black onto my big white dough, ying, 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 what comes out? A little bit of gray, right? I got some of my demonstration. Not all of it. I'm still wanting for more because it's still gray. Just a little gray. Not bad, right? But depending on how many colors you throw into this thing could be a mess. Think about all the doubts that you have. And once you start putting all those things in there, it's like throwing all different colors on there. And what does the soul do? Ying, 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 ying. Out it comes. And you're going, I never get what I want. I never get what I want. I pray, and I never get what I want. And so what I would ask you is like, well, when you pray with what you want, when you were praying with what you wanted, were you still thinking about what you didn't want? And they're like, well, yeah. Well, okay, there it is. To the level of your belief, there it is. Hard to do. Hard to go. Reject that thought in its totality. But once you start putting color on the dough, stop your prayer. You're just done. You're done. No punishment. Start over. Clear your mind and go, that's not who I am, and start over. Don't continue when you've done that. All right? Once you start that, don't do that. All right, so continuing to make these steps. It's not about poverty or illness. It's not about poverty, illness, or chaos. It's about abundance, health, and order. Don't talk about the problem. Affirm what you want, not what you don't want. Remember, every impress, both positive and negative, go into that dough, is eventually made known in your demonstration, all right, in your experience. There are elements to the third step. Here are the elements in creating those lines, those affirmation statements. I call it the 4 Ps. We have the 3 O's and the 4 Ps, okay? Personal, it's I and it's me. I do not recommend that you pray for anyone else except for someone's highest and best good and an awakening to see that. That's it. When you start assuming what other people think that you think they should want, that's spiritual malpractice. That's putting your wishes on top of their life. So this prayer is about you. You pray for yourself. If you want to pray for someone else, pray for their highest and best good and an awakening and receptivity to that. That's perfect. Or you can even pray for divine guidance, that they're being divinely guided to those who are divinely guided for their highest and best good. That's how you pray for someone else. Outside of that, you need not pray for someone else. You pray for yourself. If they ask you to pray and they give you something specific to pray for, then you can engage in the process. But right now, for today's purposes, this prayer is about you. And until you demonstrate it and learn how to do it, take good classes and become a professional practitioner, then you can share that. But for right now, pray for yourself, all right? Because you never know what the other person wants. Sorry to use this example, guys. This is a repeat in the class. I had a woman who went through her 4th cancer experience, and she was in the hospital, and her family called me there, and they're like, Joe, you got to come in. You got to talk to him. You got to talk to her. She's got to heal. She's got to fight this. She's got to fight this. So get in there and pray for her to heal. And so I walked out of the hallway. I walked into the room, and I looked at her, and I said, hey. She goes, I'm done. No more chemo. No more fighting. No more. I'm done. I'm done. I'm ready to go, Joe. I'm ready to go. And I need you to tell them that I'm ready to go. Because they want me to get up. They want me to fight. They're praying. They want me to pray that I get better. I don't want to get better here. I'm done. I'm just done. And I went, you know what? Okay. So I walked in the hallway and I said, you know what? Change of plans, guys. This is not what she wants. What she wants is this. And so I need you to get a hold of hospice. I need you to set her up because that's her wishes. What you want for her isn't what she wants for herself. How dare you think that you should tell her what to do? You can't. That's up to you. And when she's done with her chemo, she doesn't want to have that anymore. Don't force her through that. Love her into whatever she wants next. So the family had to make the choice. And they like, okay, I get it. Let's set it up. Now that is a time when our own wants and desires, and I do this for my kid all the time, and I have to catch myself. My own desires and wants for the people I love, I want them to have things certain ways. But they have free will too. And I have to respect that. And what's primary? Your choice. No matter what, no matter how long you've been married, no matter how many kids, it's your choice as to how you want that to unfold. And so, in all ways, no matter what it is, okay? So first of all, it's personal. It's about I. Second, it's present. It's about the now. It's not hoping. It's not wishing. It's not it's not begging. It's not in the future. It's I am right now. This is mine right now. All right? Hang in there. Third one, it's positive. Again, it's what I want. It's creative, not destructive. You don't pray that he gets hit by a bus, or that he gets his, or that she gets hers. That is not a spiritual prayer. The universe never sets out to destroy itself, and you should not set that agenda for anyone else either. The universe is one of creativity, not destruction, all right? Again, you don't pray anything out or in, you pray the right thing, you pray everything in, the out is the expression. It's precise. Okay, now here's where I get into disagreement with some of my colleagues, all right? Precision to a point is what I'll call it. Precision to a point. And this is where this is really challenging. Excuse me. There are some people who teach if you want a 57 Chevy that's red with white interior, that's what you pray for. Hey, have at it, right? If that's what you want. I myself am a quality-based instructor. I base my life on qualities. Let me give you an example. When Trey and I were looking for a new home, I knew what qualities I wanted in the home. I wanted to be within walking distance of Palm Springs. I wanted to have 2 master suites and a 3rd bedroom that I would make into an office. I wanted it to be right next to a pool because I didn't want to own a pool anymore. I didn't want to have a sprinkler or a pool, right? No more maintenance. And I wanted to have a big room where there's the kitchen and then the living room's all attached, right? And I wanted to be able to see the mountains. I want to be able to have a good view. Qualities. Did I say which neighborhood? Did I say north or south? What did I say? Walking distance to town, right? Next to the pool, right? Little view, 2 suites. Guess what? Walked into this place and went, holy cow. There's the lot. 2 master bedrooms and a 3rd bedroom that can be made into an office. And the added perk that while there's an upstairs where our bedroom is now, if there came a point where we couldn't navigate steps, my office and a master suite is all on the same level with the living room, and the whole thing is all on one level. We won't have to use the upstairs level, right? 3 blocks from downtown, view of the mountains, pool on the other side of the wall. Everything we wanted in quality, the qualities of life, in its highest and best good. And every day I stand in the middle of my house and I go, I love my house. Every day, because it's perfect. I could not have created it in my own mind any better. Its location, it's all of that. So now, there are other things that, if you want a 57 Chevy that's red with white seats, pray for that. But otherwise, pray for qualities. Be precise enough. A gentleman that took the class, he was lonely. He's a gay guy. He said, you know what? I love redheads. And I love a hairy chest. And I just want someone to sleep with and be loyal. And it just means so much to me. I would love to have that in my life. So that was his prayer. That was his thing. He wanted a redhead with a hairy chest, the whole thing. And then 2 weeks later, he's like, I had a demonstration. I'm like, oh my God, tell me. He goes, I think I need to be more precise because I adopted an Irish setter. So I'm like, please tell me you're not having sex with him. So I'm like, he's loyal. He keeps me warm at night. He cuddles every night. He's redheaded, and he's the best companion I could ever ask for. And I'm like, yeah, so next time you if you want a man or a woman, just make sure you say that, because you got to be a little bit specific. But for him, that met his need. He was like, okay, now I can pray for a man. I'm like, good. But in the meantime, I got this whole thing going on over here, and I'm just so filled with love. So precision to a point. Does that make sense? Okay? So that's what I teach, all right? I teach qualities.
What is the disagreement part with your other ministers?
They would say, some would say, what you want, be very specific. Be very specific about what you want. And I'm like, I'm about qualities. Now I've done the specific prayer thing. So I've done the specific prayer thing. In fact, the one quick story, then we'll do the third step. And some of you have heard this story. When Trey and I wanted to adopt a child, I went to Dr. Anita Richelieu, who was the minister in Redondo Beach at the time, and I sat down with Dr. Anita as my practitioner, and I knew enough to bring in my list of things that I wanted, because I knew that we wanted to be specific. So I was very specific with Anita. Sex of the kid didn't matter, but there were certain things that Trey wanted, because he actually wanted to stump the pastor. He's like, I'm not sure about this parenthood thing. Well, boy, did he get screwed on that one. So we went in, and I gave Anita the list. We want this, and this, and this. Oh, and by the way, we want the birth mother to have health insurance. That was on his list. So let's just throw God the curveball at the end, right? So she did the prayer. She said, okay, this is what we'll do. And so she said, now I want you to go home. Is the baby's room ready? And I said, no. She said, well, how could God put a baby where the baby's room's not ready? You have to go home and make the room. So she said, you need to make that room up now. So on a beautiful weekend when we lived in Manhattan Beach, when we would normally be on the bike path, we weren't on the bike path. I've got a picture of Trey giving me the complete stink eye as we put up baby border in the baby's room, right? Going like, oh man, this is crazy. It could take up to 4 years to get a kid. And here we are, you're gonna look at this room, you're gonna walk by it every day and be depressed. I'm like, no, I'm not, because Dr. Anita said, I could only think about it when I'm in the shower. When you're thinking about it in the shower, because once you say your prayer, you gotta let it go. If you obsess about it, you can bring in doubts. She said, so I'll let you think about it when you're in the shower, because there's something about the water rushing the negativity down the drain. So you're questioning and doubt, you're going to rush it down the drain, so when you dry off, just know what all your doubts went out the drain, and when you step out of the shower, prayer's still on, still going forward, right? 15 days later, we got a phone call. You've been chosen. You've been chosen. Your baby is waiting for you in Northridge. And everything on the checklist, including the birth mother having health insurance, was in this scenario. That's why I became a minister. That's how I knew, oh my God, this stuff works. 2 men, 4 months, not even 9. 2 men, 4 months, 1 baby. You figure it out. It was a God thing, and it was perfect. And she said, and I'll never forget this, parents create a trinity with their kids, so you want to make sure that we're bringing the right kid into your life. So we talked about the qualities of what it would be like to have this kid who loves to travel. Now my daughter's studying to be an airline pilot, who loves, all the things that we love. And sure enough, everything, perfect trinity. That didn't happen by mistake. That was by design, and that was by this process. So specific to a point, precise to a point. Yes? Hang on. I'm sorry, I got to keep doing that.
I don't do the 5-step prayer all
Put
the
it
time.
close to your mic.
I don't do the 5-step all the time because, and I'm wondering if you don't, how do you handle this? It is so powerful, it scares me. Because when I
Oh, my God, delete that. Don't be scared of it. Use it. No. You're putting fear into your faith. Stop. Just stop right there. You don't even need to say another word. I'm going to make you stop. No, I'm going to make you stop. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there cannot be any fear or scared in this process. There is faith. It is very powerful. That's why you have to know what you want. You have to know what you want. And you have to know that it's yours and that you can't imagine your life even without it. You're like, nope, that's not even a remote possibility. This is mine. You use that. Don't ever run scared from it. You use it everywhere you can. Everywhere you can. Don't ever say I'm scared of it. Please don't. I want you to embrace it. I want you to say, I stand in my own authority and claim this knowledge as mine. And I use it in my life in every way. And make change. Oh my gosh, if you have that kind of belief in the prayer, honey, I'd be 5-stepping my way to everything every day.
Anytime I've done it, and I couldn't imagine how it could happen, it does.
And that's why the how, we're going to talk about the how later. You never worry about the how. You give God the how, because God has a lot better ideas than I do, right? A lot more resources than I do. Don't ever run scared from it. Please accept that. I didn't mean to be abrupt about it, so I'm like, no.
Trying to take that in.
All right? I want you to, and use it. Don't be afraid to use it. Did you say, you didn't take my power decision class, though. Watch the videos. Watch the videos of the power decision. Many times we don't want to use it because we haven't decided what it is that we want. And so we sit in the world of indecision. And when you sit in the world of indecision, you're telling the universe, I don't know what I want, so it doesn't know how to deliver anything. But once you make that decision and you sit down and do your work, done. Done. Every time. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to keep going. So here's what we're going to do. It is 7 o'clock right now. We're going to resume at 7:20, but before you leave, you have to write down 6 to 8 sentences in that step 3. All right? In other words, these are your affirmations that support the purpose of your prayer. If the purpose of your prayer is financial security, are you going to talk about your relationships? No. If the purpose of your prayer is financial security, you're going to talk about lack or limitation? Nope. What are you going to talk about? Multiple streams of income, financial flow. What's that? I have ideas. Ideas run rampant in my mind that produce money-making scenarios. Whatever it is that you want to say. So, write down 6 to 8 sentences right now about affirmations. If you need help, I'll be up here. No. Thank God. I love you, Cyril. No, thank God I'm not handing it in. But I want you to do it. I want you to do it because at the end of this day, I want you to have a prayer in your hand that you feel confident with. So if you're not confident about what you write, come and see me during the break, and I will help tune it up. Okay?
One last thing, talk about negativity, and then we're all about positivity, that you can put a positivity over negativity and positive. The baby's born negative, but then we have to learn positivity, or it's more neutral, or this group is born positive, and this group is born negative. How is that?
I don't follow you. Let's talk about it on the break. All right? I want to focus on just this, okay? We can talk about that on the break. All right? Write your sentences out first, and if anybody has trouble, let me know, and I'll be right there to help you. So my live streamers will resume between 7:20 and 7:25. All right? So we'll see you then. Thank you.
Check, check, check. Hey, hey. Reverend Mary Murray Sheldon when she was at Huntington Beach. She got up on the pulpit one day. Now, this is a single mom. And she said, I have made a list for my future partner. And I've been honing it and working on it. And she went through this big, long spiel. And she said, you know, I never put gender on the list. And someone came into my life, and it's a she. And she filled everything on the list. And yeah, who knew? And they are still together, and she has her own place up in Northern California.
See? We'll talk about giving God the option to bring anything in. Precision is good. If you want it, if you have a specific, bring it on. Okay, we'll talk about it later then, sir. Right? How long are you going to take? Ciro's had some great demonstrations in this church. Ciro's been one of my best students in this center because when Ciro started attending classes, he did this a lot, but now he doesn't do that anymore. His business is successful, relationship successful, health improving, everything is working for Ciro. All right, we all deserve it. We're all worthy of the kingdom, every one of us. All right. So, anybody need to tune up? Are we doing good? Relationships, loving relationships. Again, like Doreen said, you might want to be specific. But if you want loving relationships, make sure you want all of them, please. This is where people make the mistake. They think they want it, and then when they get it, they're like, oh, wait a minute. I forgot that it entitled cleaning up half my closets and giving up half my closet space and my other part of the drawers. And oh my gosh, I forgot that I had to clean up half my bank account, right? And I don't always get to choose the restaurant. And oh my God, I got to cook that for dinner? No, the toothpaste cap is off. Are you kidding? What is that? The toilet seat is up. The toilet seat is down. What is that? So when you want it, you got to want all of it. When you buy a house, you don't just buy a house. You buy the house, but you have to be able to maintain the house. You know, it's going to need insurance. It's going to need repairs. It's going to need paint. It's going to need upkeep. So whenever you pray for a house, you don't just pray for the house. You also pray for the financial means to keep the house up. Yeah, you don't pray for a car. You pray for the car and the financial means to sustain it. Be careful. You don't pray for what you just need. I know a lot of people like, I just need to pay my rent. That is a prayer. That is a prayer. Do you say, I just need to pay off my debt? I just need to pay my bills? That's all you'll ever get. That's all you'll ever get. You won't get the vacation. You won't get the money in the savings account. You'll get your needs met, and then you're just going to stand there going, what the thought is, I just need to pay my rent. Ying, 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 ying. Rent is paid. Now I'm like, well, I should have paid for gas money. Right? I should have paid to go out to dinner. I should have prayed for something. Don't limit what you're doing by your circumstance.
Current relationships.
Sorry?
Current relationships.
What about?
Better. Want more. Better. Love.
But improved love relationship. When you're talking about adding relationships into your life, make sure you define what kind you want. Make sure you decide, I want friendships. A friendship, an intimate relationship. A traveling companion. I don't care what you call it. Friendships. However you want to phrase it, that's your choice. But make sure you want what it is that you want and you're willing to do whatever it takes. Everything requires, and you've heard me say this, everything requires a spiritual, mental, financial, or physical coin. Nothing's free. You get nothing for free.
A better relationship with somebody you already have.
An improved relationship, greater
Yes.
communication, greater intimacy.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
creativity. That's the things you would pray for.
Okay.
Yeah, creativity. Because usually the only thing that are missing stale relationships are new ideas.
Okay.
I mean, everywhere. All right? So, new ideas,
Right.
creativity, intimacy, greater communication, greater connection. Those are the things you would pray for to solidify that.
Okay.
And you're not trying to change the other person,
Right.
right? You're just changing what you desire in a loving relationship.
Right.
Does that make sense? Where was I? Spiritual, emotional, financial, or physical coin. Everything has a trade. Nothing for free. If I want to have a better body, right? What does that mean? It means I have to sacrifice some time. I got to go to the gym, right? The time that I would normally do something else, and it's going to take a gym membership. It's going to take money. I'm going to have to buy healthier foods. I'm going to have to learn to cook organic or go to organic places and buy. That's more money, right? There's a coin. So I give up time. I give up a coin. I give up, some freedoms. It's like I can't just eat pizza at 11 o'clock at night. So I have to be careful of what I eat. So I have to pay attention. So now, sometimes socially, people want to go out socially for dinner all the time. Let's meet for dinner. Let's meet for dinner. I have to meet for a different reason. Because sometimes dinner doesn't work, right? Or drinks, whatever that is. Whatever that is, sometimes you have to pay a coin to get what it is that you want. Again, the relationship, the finances, everything requires that you engage in it. And sometimes you engaging means you have to trade something else for something else. It doesn't happen automatically.
What were the four things?
Spiritual, emotional, financial, physical. Those are coins that we trade. Now, I'm not saying I'm not one of those people that says, yeah, you can have everything. Yes, you can have everything if you're willing to do all that it takes to get everything. But a lot of times, it's not a matter of whether we want or whether we want to do it. We're just not willing to do it. It's not that I can't, it's just that I won't. Hang on, let me give it the thing. Here you go.
I read something interesting. In the contract, it said a quid pro quo. And I kind of knew what it was, but not exactly. So I looked it up, and it basically means something for something.
Yeah.
So rather than it being this thing equal to this thing equal, it can be anything. You can say, for $1,000, I'll give you some concert tickets. So it's really a neat concept.
Yeah, quid pro quo. Yeah, it's a spiritual quid pro quo, if you will. All right? How we doing? Good? So you feel good about your third step? Yep. Anybody not feel good about their step? Because I'll tell you after the class. Okay, here we go. Moving on. The first three steps are cognitive. Oh my gosh, I forgot this. So God is, right? We did this. We did that, right? Did I do that? I can't remember what I've done. So God is, step 1. I am, step 2. So God is, I am, and we are. All right? So step 1, right hand, left hand sweeps, meets it in the front. Okay? God is, step 1, recognition, unification. Step 3 is this. I want to change what I'm doing, right? So I take this position and I change it. Drop it to the core. And now, this is where you did all your affirmation work right here. All those affirmations you just wrote down, those are expanding your experience. And now you're open and receptive to receiving your good. You're not telling the universe how. This is when I tell the universe how to do it. This is when I'm open and receptive to however you're going to bring me all this stuff, universe, bring it on. Okay? And now we're going to move into the gratitude step. Okay, the Thanksgiving step. Now we need to call upon an emotional body. All right? The first 3 steps are kind of cognitive. God is, I am, what is it that I want, right? First 3 steps are cognitive. Now we're going to have to go to this emotional body. We're going to have to really dive deep into an emotional body. We need to open up our hearts to the beauty, what we know and trust, and create a resonance with that beauty. So we're going to open up a sense of gratitude by moving into this process. The first question is, how do you use gratitude in your daily life? I think it was Bruce, were you telling me that we don't even think about our big toe until you cut it too closely with the nail clippers. And then every time you stand up, you think of that big toe, right? Every time you stand up, you're like, oh man, there it is. I can't wait till that goes away. And then one morning you wake up, and suddenly it's gone. You don't think it, but guess what? I bet you're not grateful for your toe after that. You don't think about it until you clip it again too close, right? We only think about the things that are grabbing our attention. And we don't live in an attitude of gratitude all the time for all the stuff that is working right? In your finances. Your whole life doesn't suck, right? There may be parts of it that need to be fixed, but your whole life can't be in an aggregate because that would be impossible. There are good things that happen. You had running water today. I'll take that one, right? You're in a nice environment right here. You're safe. You got here safely. You probably had something to eat. You probably drank safe water. You ate safe food today. It may not be everything you want, but let's be grateful for the things that we do have. So how do you use gratitude in your daily life? That's gonna come into this idea of gratitude in the fourth step. So it's not a question of civility. That becomes almost unconscious. That kind of gratitude that Trey does this, and I'm able to. I told him I nail him in class, and he was going to come tonight. I said, "Well, I'm going to talk about you." So Trey does this little experiment where he goes to the mall and he holds the door open for people at Westfield Mall. So he opens the door, and if they walk in and they don't say thank you, he'll yell, "You're welcome," like he's teaching them to be grateful. So you can't do something expecting gratitude. And he sets himself up every time, like, why do you do that? He's like, people are so rude now. I'm like, well, you're drawing rude people because you think people rude. And you don't know what that person's thinking as they're going in there. They may be walking in to buy a dress for their mother's funeral. You don't know what's on their mind. So you opening the door, they may not even notice it. So you open the door because you want to open the door, not because you're expecting someone to say thank you. Because that's not right. That's not the right kind of gratitude we're talking about here. All right? So the fourth step. This is about experiencing an authentic emotion that transcends language. Why does it transcend language? Because when you think about it, how many words could we use in gratitude? We have gratitude, appreciation, heartfelt thanksgiving, grateful. There's not a whole lot, isn't it interesting? There's not a whole lot of words to describe gratitude. So what is it? It's just something that we feel. If someone gives you a gift that you love, you say thank you, but there's an emotion that you're like, oh my God, I really love that. And there's an emotion attached to it. All right? So one has to tap into that emotion of gratitude because the words, they're sort of lacking in that department for us. As a human being, as human culture, we just don't have a whole lot of words for gratitude. So it has to be a feeling more than a word. All right? So the fourth step is about being grateful. Now, this is where people make the biggest mistake in the whole prayer. You've heard me give the Amazon example. You're going to ride through it again. Praying is like going on Amazon, right, to go shopping. You go in, you know what you want to buy. Do you click on add to cart something you don't want to buy? No. You only add to the cart that which you want to buy. That's the third step. Clicking on the cart. You know what you want, you add it to your cart. Right? Now you enter in your information, because now you know it's yours. So you're into the credit card, and then it says, are you sure you want this? And what do you click? Yes. Remember what I asked you earlier? Are you sure you want that relationship? Are you sure you want that house? Are you sure? Because once I click here, it's on its way. You have to know that. So it says, are you sure? You click yes. And then you walk away from the computer and you go, phew. Somewhere, some little thing is grabbing that box off the shelf, and it's getting on this giant conveyor belt, and it's getting into the UPS truck, and within 3 days, delivered to my door. You trust Amazon to deliver. We trust Amazon more than we trust God. We do. We trust Amazon more than we trust God. So, but when you click yes, I want it, what does it say? Thank you, right? Thank you for purchasing this gift or this thing. When you're in this fourth step, you're giving thanks that what you just prayed for is yours. It's as if I just gave it to you wrapped up in a bow, and you can say, thank you for my health. I thank you for these new ideas. I thank you for this financial security. Does it say, I thank the church? Nope. In your third step, there is no word of church. Did it say anything about thanking Reverend Joe or your practitioner? Nope. Does it say, if you're praying for if your prayer is for financial abundance, I give great thanks for my family? Nope. What is it that you're praying for? If you pray for financial security, I am grateful for my financial security that is mine now. So your gratitude step has to be about what it is you just prayed for in the healed, delivered condition. That's the gift. Does that make sense? So, write your fourth step out. I give great thanks or whatever. I'm so grateful that I am now experiencing right, loving relationships. Whatever that is. Okay? So we give thanks for that which you just affirmed. Okay, moving on. Now, danger. Danger, danger, danger. Right? This is where people sabotage their prayer. They get to the fourth step, and then they go to this out there. They say, I'm grateful for the gift. And then in the back of their minds, they go, God, I hope this worked. What if it's not God's will that I'm supposed to get it? Crap. So I'm going to be really graphic. Probably get complaint letters, but I don't care. What you just did in that moment, when you started going, God, I hope that just worked, you just peed on your dough. Ying, 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 ying. You're not going to want what's coming out on the other side of that. Don't sabotage yourself in the fourth step by going to the old pattern of, oh God, I hope it's supposed to be mine. I don't know. I'm giving great thanks for something I don't see. I don't feel it yet. Just right there on the dough. All right? You just stop right there. Don't even go to the next step. Go back. Clear your mind of all that doubt, and then come back and pray again. Just stop. Don't even, if you're there and you start playing around in your mind, just stop and go, gotta read it, gotta do it again. I gotta direct the energy again. I gotta do it again. All right? You're gonna overwrite it by doing it again. All right. Move confidently into that gratitude step. You only give thanks for that which you already have, and since you just affirmed that it's yours, you can give thanks that it's already in your life. All right? So that's the fourth step. All right? And in gratitude, so step 1 is recognition. Step 2 is unification. Step 3, we change and expand the experience. We become open and receptive to receiving our good. We give great thanks that it's ours. And the next step is release. It's going to be release it, and so it is. Okay? So we're going to move into the 5th step. Now, release, 5th step, over and out. That's the 5th step. You don't do this yourself. You don't ever do anything yourself. There's always something behind you doing it, right? Back of you doing it. It's done by means of you, but not you. So, and the how, when you release it, you have to release your attachment as to how it's going to show up. Many times we derail our own demonstrations because when we say our prayer, something shows up and it doesn't look like we thought it would look. And so we go, well, that's not it. I guess I'm not supposed to have it. You immediately go into doubt. Or it's not happening on my time frame. We immediately go into doubt. We take a delay as a denial. And delays are not denials. They're just the logical and sequential order of things unfolding. And it may not look like you thought it was going to look. In fact, it may not. So this is another one. I take 2 steps back and 1 step forward. Has anyone ever had that belief? 2 steps forward, 1 step, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. That's a belief pattern that's going to make you go backwards the rest of your life. You will never get where you want to go. So, a step in a different direction is not a step back. It's just a different direction. Stop looking at it as back and start looking at it as, okay, I'm just being vectored into where I'm supposed to go. As soon as I attach myself to the how it's supposed to unfold, then I become God. And trust me, God has greater ideas than any of us could possibly imagine. We have access to a storehouse of ideas. The only thing we have access to is our own finite experience or that we tap into our friends. So we live out their demonstration, not ours. But when you tap into an infinite source, you're giving all sorts of possibilities. So the how is none of your business. You don't want to funnel into the how. God, I don't care how you get me that house. I just want this house. I don't care how you get me this child in my life. I just want this child. I don't care how you get financial security in my life. Just bring it to me and I will manage it. I will take care of it, universe. You're going to give me the intellect to have all of that. All right? So, the how is nothing. When we believe that things can only happen a certain way, we're saying that the only resources available to us in life are the ones we know about and know how to use. And that's just saying, I'm just using my finite self when I can tap into the infinite. Does that make sense? All right. Release is not about sitting back and waiting for it to knock on your doors. There's an old thing. We used to call it treat and move your feet. It was kind of easy when we used the word treatment. So treat and move your feet. We take whatever action is appropriate. You have to take action that's appropriate. Nothing's going to just, here it is. What effort do you, no, you're a co-creator. You have to co-create, which means I have to engage in the process of demonstrating something. I have to be involved in it. It doesn't just flow down from a cloud and land in my yard. I'm going to be engaged in it. We take whatever action is appropriate to bring our prayer into form, at the same time knowing that whatever needs to happen for truth to be revealed has already occurred. When we found the house, guess what? We had to put a deposit down. It just didn't flow. Money had to come out. We had to pick every doorknob, every cupboard hole, every piece of tile, every sink, everything. I don't know how marriages survive building a house, but we did. So you pick out everything. It didn't just happen. We had to pick it out. The yard just didn't magically appear. We had to pick it out. Just like everything in life, it doesn't magically appear. You have to engage in the process of. Now I stand in the middle of it, going, I love it, but I co-created to get all of it. It didn't just appear. It requires that you engage in the process. Does that make sense? All right. We participate in creative process without limiting the process to our own actions. When I say that, it just means I couldn't do that myself. I may have an idea that that's what I want my yard to do, but I can't do my yard. I can't find the dipstick in my car. So I'm not a mechanic. If you put together a grill, never going to happen, right? So I have to rely on other people. Williams, shut up. He has to come over and put my umbrella together. Okay, I can't put my umbrella together, all right? I admit it. I can teach prayer, but I cannot put an umbrella together. So you know what? I hire other people to put I'm divinely guided to William. Well, actually Elizabeth, who makes William come over and put my umbrella together. That's how it works, right? Believe in the law of circulation, though. And compensate people for what I get compensated for what I do. Other people get compensated for what they do. It's the law of circulation in action. I can't do everything, so I rely on other people to do what they're good at doing. And I want people to rely on me. And I'm willing to share my treasure, and we'll exchange treasures and gifts of spirit. So that's the way it works. I can't just do everything alone. It requires other people. So that's where I'm being divinely guided to those who are divinely guided for my highest and best good. I don't care whether that's putting my umbrellas together or whether it's picking out a brain surgeon. It makes no difference. All of them have an important part in my life, okay? All right. Here's the last part. The last sentence. This is the biggest challenge of all. For your prayer to be effective, your release statement must be more powerful and convincing than your desire to worry or any urge you may have to focus on the existing condition. For your prayer to be effective, when you say, I release it now, and so it is, that means the worry and doubt, it also means shut up. I hate to say it that way, but shut up. You're no longer allowed to share that story with anybody. Because when you're sharing your story, what are you doing? Putting the fire back underneath it. So when you're done with it, when you've said your prayer work, people go, how you doing? And they're expecting you to go, well, I had a visit at the doctor yesterday, and this is what he said. You know what? I'm moving through it, and everything's going well. How are off of it. Don't go where people want you to go. Instead, if you did the prayer work, you move off of it. And you step off of it as quickly as you can. Because as soon as you go back to the condition, what are you doing? Think of your problems and think of those things as being a pot of hot water on the stove. And you turn the stove on and you have it on high. And you say a prayer, right? You said your prayer. You say, and so it is. So that means that turns the burner off, right? As soon as you start engaging in the conversation again about what it is, what are you doing? Turning the burner on. What level? Who knows? Could be a slow simmer, but either way it's cooking. You put the fire back underneath it. Once you say, and so it is, pot goes off, burner goes off, pot goes in the dishwasher. Done. And so it is. Amen is Aramaic for Amina, which means sealed in truth. So when we say, and so it is, amen, and so it is, sealed in truth, done. Does that say, oh yeah, bring it up again in an email or in a phone conversation with your friends? When you're done, you're done. When you go back and start talking about the issue, what have you done? Just remember, every time you do that, you're just putting more of it back into the universe in your dough. And it's going to demonstrate, but it's going to demonstrate with part of it being diminished. Your demonstration will be there, but it won't look like you want it to look. It'll still have a resemblance to the issue because that's what you've been talking about, even though you prayed something different. This is where your behavior your talk has to match your walk. This is where you have to release your need and obsession to think about it all the time. Now, where do we release our prayer? You don't release it to spirit. You don't release it to God. You're releasing it to that yin, 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 right? And to the law, capital L. I release things to the law of mind, which says what all the time? What's the one thing the law always says? Yin, 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 yes. So that's where you're releasing it to. Not some esoteric thing. Now, in the process of my prayer, tonight, have I said anything about babbling brooks? No. Waves of grain? No. Majestic mountains or peaceful streams? No. Right? None of those belong in a prayer. They belong in meditation. Prayer is prayer. Prayer is precise. No whistling winds, no waves, no ripples, no skies, no clouds, none of that. No, prayer is prayer. Meditation is meditation. Those images are great for meditation, but when you pray. Get in, get out. And so it is. Done. When you linger in there and you start going, unless you're praying for a lake, unless you're praying to be on a lake or the ocean, then it doesn't belong in the prayer. Okay? We pray. Very seldom will you ever hear from this place right here about a whispering willow in a prayer on a Sunday. I bet you can't even tell me the last time we had. The only person who gets away with that, who got away with that, is who? Reverend Mary. Because she's old. And I wasn't going to correct her. Because I love her. She's my practitioner. So if she wants to talk about whispering willows and trees bending and whatever that is, that's Mary. Go for it. But the practitioners up here, the professionals that are up here who are professional paid practitioners, not paid, but trained practitioners, you will never hear them say anything about the majestic mountains of hope. They would be called in the next day and say, please don't do that. That's not what we believe.
You talked about the root of the word. Okay. You talked about the root of the word before, but what's the root of prayer? Is that Egyptian, Roman, Gothic? What is it?
I wish I knew. I don't have that answer for you, but I can Google it.
Okay.
But we'll find out.
Okay.
I actually don't. I think it was a Latin, but it's not prayer. It doesn't sound like that, right? Okay, so write your release step. I release my prayer to the law of mind, knowing that it's already done. That's all you need. Okay? So, if you believe that what you say is so, then let it go. Allow the universe to release and unfold for your highest good. The result will be the full manifestation of your desire. Once you release it, let it go. So then the question comes up. It always comes up. Dr. Holmes, people will say, well, how often do I pray? Am I supposed to say the same prayer over and over and over again? In Dr. Holmes' earlier writings, he would say, you pray until you manifest it. You just keep praying until you manifest it. Now, in his later writings, he would say, once you pray, if there's no doubt or anything that ever enter your mind, then you don't have to pray about it again. It's done. For your purposes, as new prayers, early and often, every day. And one prayer per thing. No pizza praying, please. Right? Say a prayer for every single thing, separately. All right? How are we doing? You got 5 steps. How do you feel? You should have a prayer in your hands. Hopefully you feel confident about what you have written. Now I'm going to hand out something out. So I'm going to hand out to you a prayer request form. These prayer request forms are found over here by the prayer box. And you know, in Scripture that says, before you pray, it's already been answered, right? But sometimes we just like to write the stuff down. So what we're going to do is, all I want is your name on the top, and the purpose of your prayer that you wrote down. All right? That's all I want you to put down, your name and the purpose of the prayer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this request. First of all, I'm going to do a healing service for this stuff right now. I'm going to put it together as quickly as I can. We're going to do a healing service around that. And then I'm going to give it out to our prayer ministry. And for 1 week, the practitioners will be doing a prayer for you on this stuff. Okay? So I'm going to put this request out into our prayer ministry. So the practitioners will be saying your name and affirming whatever it is, the purpose of your prayer, that it's already done for you. So you have a team of about 30 practitioners who are going to be working on your prayer along with you, with what you just wrote. Okay? So did you like the pace of that class? Is that working? Okay, not too fast, not too slow? All right, we got 2 more things to do here. So let's finish that up. If you would please just pass them to the center and I'll pick them all up. And then I'm going to try to do my best to put them together while I pass the basket around. This is a conscious giving class, which means we want you to be conscious of what you're giving. Normally a class like this would run $20 to $30, so we're asking for that. If not, if you can't do that, that's fine. Do whatever you can do. If tonight it's not possible to do anything, to donate that much, what I ask is this, and this is something that we request from the Board of Trustees, that you put in what you can, and when you come back and manifest your financial security, you, over and above your Sunday offering, you walk over there where there's a love offering envelope, and you put Learning How to Pray workshop, and put it into the love offering on a Sunday, over and above your Sunday offering. And then that way the Board of Directors or the Board of Trustees will know that what we're doing is we're doing this as a service to people who need it the most, instead of charging tuition at the door. Okay? So if you can do $20 or $30, that's great. If not, promise me you'll come back and take care of the church or the center when you can. All right? So let me grab those. Can I have those? Thank you. Thank you. Just hand them all to me here. Here we go. That's okay. You got them? Got them? Here we go. I'll take the prayer requests.
Okay, I'm not finished with mine yet.
Oh, you're not? Okay, here.
Take
All right.
this one.
Take that one? Okay, keep working on them. All right, pass them all here, guys. I got them. Did I have everybody's prayer requests? All right, I'm going to do my best and take 2 minutes. So give me 2 seconds, all right? I'm going to do what Dr. Frank Richelieu used to do for my healing services back in Redondo Beach, which is my introduction to the science of mind is that a friend of mine grabbed me and said, you know what, after talking to you about how you feel about spirituality, I bet you'd like this place, but I can't stand going on Sunday, so we go on Wednesday night for a half hour. So she would drag me there on a Wednesday night. And I went to the healing service, and this is exactly what would happen in the healing service. Dr. Frank would talk about what we just talked about. Excuse me. The difference is, oh, okay. Hang on. So funny. No, I said there's something I have to share with you in a minute. Thank you. Perfect. All right, hang on a minute. Perfect. Everything falls into categories, guys. So easy to do that. Hang on. Okay, there's only, you got to help me with this. Oh, no, I got it. Okay, the penmanship's hard to read. Okay. Sorry. So this is what would happen. We used to do healing services before we did the 1-minute miracles. We would do healing services in Costa Hall, and this is where we would take a series of prayer requests like this, and the practitioner would do a prayer, and we would do the first and second steps, and then the third steps would be a combination. This is the pizza. Would be a combination of all these things, and then we do the fourth and fifth steps. Okay? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a prayer over all of these things. And I'm not going to name the names, but I am going to name the scenarios, okay? I'm going to name, we have, here's what's really funny. Years ago when I taught this class, I would get 80% of the requests would be health. 80% had to do with health. That's a lot. And tonight, like this morning, 70% of the requests are for financial security, and a handful for health. It's just kind of weird how that shifted, because over the years that's shifted. So either we're healthier, or I don't know. Anyway, so just sort of an interesting observation that sort of used to be what it was, and now it's this. So this is good. It's good stuff. All right. So I want you to get comfortable in your seat. Take a deep breath in. Excuse me. So this is what I know. I know that there is only one love, one power, one divine intelligence. And I know that each one of us are an individualized expression of the one. We are all of its senses, made manifest in human form. We are the greatest gift and attributes that the universe has ever created. For we are here to express and experience spirit in the one and only way that we can, and that's through our life experience. And so I know that each and every one of us, as that expression, we each have all the attributes of God available to us, and we are manifesting those in this moment, right here and right now. And so I speak my word for those who are seeking financial security. And for all of us, not just those who put in a request, but for all of us who are seeking to experience financial security. I know that there are divine ideas rushing to greet you, to create multiple streams of income and this divine flow of goodness. I know that everything you need or want and desire is now made manifest in your experience right now, that you will do what you want, when you want, how you want it, and pay cash for it. that there is enough for you, and there is enough to share, and enough to spare, and enough to give your good where you want your good to go, to create even more good in the lives of others. So I know for you right now that those ideas are now rushing to greet you, and that there is a receptivity on your part to welcome them, to embrace them, to embody them, and to put legs on them and make them experience and manifest in your life. Financial security is yours now. And I speak my word for those who are seeking physical healings. And for all of us, as I affirm for all of us that divine restoration is taking place wherever in our bodies that need and desire to be made manifest and whole again. That the perfection of the universe continues to flow in and around and through each and every one of us. That we move with greater ease. We are flexible. All of our muscles and tissue, the fiber, the bones, everything, every part of our bodies are in perfect working order as divine restoration takes place within us. And so I know that for each one of us, our health is now made manifest. We are the health of God. We are the health of God. My body is the health of God's body. And I see in an image from my head to my toe of all of things rushing and moving throughout my body, cleansing it, healing it, strengthening it. My body does what I ask it to do. I am physically capable and able and willing to do whatever is necessary to bring that into working order. And those divine ideas rush to greet me as well. I eat healthy foods. I drink healthy drinks. I know what to do, and I do it now. And I speak my word now for those who are moving into right, loving relationships, friendships, companionships, intimate relationships, marriages. And I speak my word for each one of them, and I know that there is an openness and a connectivity that is becoming more and more obvious in that relationship. I know that through you, there is a willingness and a receptivity to communicate on a greater level, that new ideas rush into your consciousness to create something that is exciting, something that is warm and tender, something that is forgiving and compassionate, something that is flexible. I know for you and for all of us that those divine relationships, those perfect, loving relationships, are now being made manifest in your life experience and mine. And I welcome new and loving relationships into my life. Friendships, connection, intimacy. I know that I am enough. And I know that what I am seeking is now seeking me. And that perfection resides in that moment of clarity, when all of this, all of my relationships are surrounded in that infinite light of love, of joy, of happiness and laughter. I speak my word for those actually for all of us who are ready to put our home and our belongings in perfect order. The universe operates in an orderly way, and so I claim order in my house, in all of my affairs. Releasing that which no longer serves me now, I now put into the universe and allow extra space to come into my existence. I allow wonderful things to come into my home because I'm able to easily release that which no longer serves me. My home is in perfect order. My finances are in perfect order. My relationships are in perfect order. All that is right and good operates from a place of that perfect order. And so my life is orderly now. And it comes to me easily and joyously as I release these things with an expectancy of good, knowing that it is coming to me right now. That my good rushes to greet me as I make space for it in my life. I claim this order in my home, in my closets, in my drawers, in my garage, in my car, in my office, in my desk, everywhere. I claim this divine order. For the universe operates orderly, and I am orderly. I speak my word for people who are now in a place to become licensed practitioners and ministers. And I know that what they need to know, they will know at the moment they need to know it. That on their exams, they will call forth the knowledge that I know is there. And it will come to them easily and effortlessly. There is relaxed acceptance and the expectancy of good as a result of these tests. And I know for them, with grace and ease, they move through this process, the written process, and they will work through the oral process of knowing what to say and how to say it at the moment they're asked to say it. That the ideas will rush to greet them, and there will be the perfect tongue to articulate that which needs to be said. It's very orderly. It's very concise. The truth is already known. And now it's revealed through this process. The work has been done. And the celebration begins as you walk into that exam. And now I speak my word for all of us who are seeking peace and serenity in our life and divine order. And I know that the peace of God is my peace. I experience serenity and peace in my finances, in my relationships, in my health, in my financial security and abundance, in my creativity. And I am at peace with my spiritual journey and my spiritual practices. I'm so very grateful for this peace and for this understanding, for this love that continues to manifest in my life to show me the way of spirit expressing for its highest and best good. It is in that idea right now that I just surrender to that peace. I relax into it. I lean into it. And it supports me, guides me, sustains me, maintains me, moves me into a greater expression of love itself. And so, for all that has been spoken here tonight, I know that the Word is now made flesh. These words now demonstrate in our experience as our life experience. And as I release my word to law with that sense of great gratitude and appreciation, and with a sense of great expectancy, I know that the law always says yes. 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 For those gifts and many, many more that have yet to be realized, we give great thanks. We let it be so. As I release these words, we say together, and so it is. Amen. Take a deep breath in. Welcome back. How'd that feel? Yeah? Okay. All right. So, next thing up on the list, we're going to pray our way out. But we're going to do it through the 5 steps. So, reminder, here we go. God is, I am, we are. Change it. Bring the shift. Expansion. Open, receptive. I don't care how you get it, God. Just get it. Give great thanks. We let it be so. I release my word. Not attachment, but my word. And so it is. Amen. And then we go right back into it again. Okay? So stand up, spread apart, so that you're not going to whack somebody. You don't want to hurt anybody in the process of prayer. So we wouldn't want to do that, all right? Hang on, I got to make sure I got the right one. Yep, that's the one. All right, here we go. Step 1. God is, I am, and we are. Whatever you were praying for, see it happening. I give great thanks. I let it be so. And so it is. Step 1, recognition. Unification. Declare you're good. Allow it to come. Give great thanks. Release. Here we go. Begin with God. Include yourself. Name your good. Give great thanks. Over and out. Take it on your own, and just every time you expand, take that expansion with you, whatever it is that you want in every part of your life. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Here we go. All that I have, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so last time through. And because Thanksgiving always grows everything in gratitude, we do that 3 times at the end. Again, one more time for Thanksgiving. And in great gratitude, I release it now. We let it be so, and so it is. Amen. That's the class, everybody.